Hi everyone, Kasey Thompson here. Today is the day we're going to discuss a very difficult subject. Why most people don't survive spiritual awakening. This is a very personal topic for me. It's been one of the hardest things I have ever done. Many people struggle intensely like I did. They get lost when their spiritual awakening experiences first start, when they are forced to go through what is called ego death. Ego death is basically the dismantling over who you thought you always were. You see, the ego, which is our false sense of self, fears change. It craves control and needs external validations. During your spiritual awakening, when the ego begins to dissolve, it can feel like you're losing your very self. I felt like that. Your old beliefs about who you are or what matters, your purpose is falling apart. This loss of identity can be terrifying and disoriented, leading to immense psychological distress. Especially for me as a business owner, because that's what I identified as a business owner. That was my ego. You see, the ego's primary function is self-preservation. It will fiercely resist its own demise, creating intense fear and anxiety and anger and doubt to pull you back to familiar patterns. Many people simply can't handle this, experiencing depression and anxiety. I know I did. And they effectively abandon their deeper awakening. That's why they call this the dark night of the soul. It's a period of intense spiritual doubt and despair. It's when old spiritual comforts, beliefs, and practices no longer provide security like they always did. And a deep sense of abandonment sets in. But it's very important to remember the dark night is a necessary purification process. It strips away attachments, illusions, and ego desires, leaving the soul vulnerable and open for a deeper and much more authentic connection to God. Enduring this period is incredibly difficult. This phase involves feeling alone, as no one around you has any clue what you're experiencing. That was really hard for me. I had no one to talk to. But you see, spiritual awakenings can be very spontaneous. Lots of times they're triggered by a big life event or some type of trauma. If one is not prepared for the massive shifts in knowledge and perception, it can be very, very overwhelming. This is especially true if you live in a Western society like the United States, due to the lack of knowledge of understanding and navigating spiritual awakenings. The sudden increase of psychic and clairvoyant abilities and massive energy surges can really be terrifying if one doesn't have the knowledge to understand what is really happening inside them. As your values and priorities change drastically during the spiritual awakening, you will find that your friendships and your relationships with friends and family will probably get very strained. You will find you no longer have interest in old activities. For me, it was like I had no interest in making a ton of money or wearing the nicest clothes or buying a new Ferrari or something like that. I just lost absolute interest. So this can really lead to loneliness and grief. You see, it's hard for people who haven't experienced an awakening to comprehend the shifts occurring in someone who is going through an awakening. This lack of understanding can lead to feelings of alienation and judgment. But there's hope. Surviving a spiritual awakening doesn't mean avoiding the difficulty, but rather embracing the process. You must surrender to the unknown. You must let go of old identities and move through the discomfort. Consciously work to integrate your new knowledge and your new abilities and awareness into daily life, which is very difficult because you always want to stay connected to the physical world and stable your relationships. This will help you from being completely overwhelmed. You see, many times it was just easier for me to spend the majority of my day on the other side with my spirit team than to be in this physical world. The other side is just so peaceful and beautiful and just so much knowledge to absorb. And the other side just makes so much more sense than this world. This world is chaotic and so many issues. But having said that, yes, going through a spiritual awakening is very tough, but absolutely needed and worth it. The death of the ego, the death of your ego, the false self, is the only way to pave the way for the birth of one's true, authentic, divine self, leading to a much deeper peace and wisdom and unconditional love. The struggle is often seen as a necessary part of the journey towards liberation and being your highest self and living your lives, living your true purpose. Please like, share, and subscribe. God bless. Love you all.